Welcome to our orientation program sessions, and we will start with first one on Israeli background and introduction to Israeli culture. We will talk very little on some historical basic facts. We will talk about Israeli culture, about population of Israel. We will talk a little about public holidays, about Israeli and Arabic cuisine, and also we'll talk just a little on the culture of communication, which is also very important, can be useful for you to know. We will start with some basic facts, as I said. It is important to mention that State of Israel was after the Holocaust, the time when over 6 million European Jews were killed, and many thousand have to leave Europe to avoid death, and the United Nations then voted to establish Israel. It would be true to say that the Philippines assisted to many of Jews escape those horrible situation, but still the history happened, and as I mentioned, the State of Israel was founded and decreed on May 14 of 1948. And you can see on this picture David Ben-Gurion, who was before the State of Israel was founded and established. He was head of Jewish Agency for Israel, and after foundation of State of Israel, he was elected as the first prime minister. We also wanted to talk a little with you about the population of Israel, and the number of people living in Israel is a little bit more than 9 million. And as you can see, most of it, almost 7 million, are Jewish population, and almost 2 million are Arabs. But there are about a half of 1 million other groups, and some of them are Arab Christians, and there is also about 200,000 foreign workers that live currently in Israel. And this data is according Ministry of Interior of Israel. It is a very unique situation here in Israel, and there are many ethnic groups of Jews that come in to live in Israel from different places all over the world. And here are some also interesting main numbers of Jewish population among Jewish Israeli population. About 75% are Sabras. That means that they were born in Israel, and most of them are second or third generation of Israelis, and the rest are Olim, which means Jewish immigrants to Israel, which divided approximately 19% coming from Europe and Americas and Oceania, and another 9% are coming from Asia and Africa. And you can see also on the pictures the people, some representatives of the communities that's coming, Jewish community that's coming over the world to live in Israel. Among Arabic groups, as I mentioned before, it's almost 2 million of Arab residents in Israel, including East Jerusalem residents. And this figure includes Muslim, which are the major group, is about 82%, Christian are about 9%, and Jews are also 9%. We also wanted to talk to you about Jewish holidays, because as you will not only work but also live in Israel, you will also one by one on the calendar you will mark, and you will find out there are many interesting and might seem different holidays, and those holidays represent a variety of not only Jewish culture but also traditions that Jewish people bring abroad from different countries, and also can be relevant and mention about Muslim culture and Christian culture. because people from those denominations are also not only establishing their own traditions in Israel, but also exchanging and learning from people that are coming from abroad and having the same religion. In Israel, citizens use the lunisolar calendar alongside the Gregorian calendar. That is because of the Jewish tradition and Jewish calendar, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but it's worth to mention that today, according to lunisolar calendar, it's 5,781 year. This calendar is the official calendar of the State of Israel, along with the Gregorian calendar. The main languages in Israel are Hebrew, Arabic, English, and Russian. And the working week begins on Sunday and ends on Friday. And as we spoke a little bit before, Saturday is a day of rest, and it's called Shabbat. As it was mentioned before, Jewish religious holidays calendar follows the lunisolar system, and it means that all the holidays they're not consistent days on Gregorian calendar, but because it uses both system, lunar and solar, so it happens approximately around the same season, even the same month on Gregorian calendar. We should start, when we talk about Jewish special days and holidays, to talk about Shabbat, which is starting with at sundown on Friday and ending on sunset of Saturday. Shabbat signifies a special day of rest, and religious Jews don't work during Shabbat. Many refrain from using electronics, driving, cooking, and using the telephone in order to keep Shabbat. Those who are not religious are spending this time with their families also, and generally speaking, it's a day of rest. It's also important to mention that during Shabbat, most of the public places are closed, and even stores and restaurants, most of them are also closed. There are some places that can be open, but it's something that you should check and not rely just on assumption that it would be open or closed. So if you're interested to go somewhere on Shabbat, you need to check if the specific place is open and working on Shabbat. Also, it is important to mention that during the Shabbat, there is no public transportation almost everywhere in Israel. So it's also important for you to know whenever you're planning your weekend off and not at work. Jewish holidays and celebration. Rosh Hashanah is a new Jewish New Year. It happens usually in September, October. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement, and together with Sukkot, it happens as Rosh Hashanah during September, October. It's important to mention that Yom Kippur is a very unique day, the Day of Atonement, because everything is closed on Yom Kippur. If I said before that in Shabbat most of the places are closed, meaning on Yom Kippur everything is closed, and there is not only public transportation, there are no cars, and everything is very quiet, and some people are going outside, but they are not using cars, and they can talk with each other and hang out with each other, but again, it wouldn't be in any restaurant or any open public place. So whoever of you will experience his or her first Yom Kippur should be ready that it would be a very unique experience. And if you have some things to purchase or to do, you should try to do it before, because Yom Kippur wouldn't be possible to do it. Sukkot is also one of the Jewish holidays called the Feast of Ingathering. Hanukkah happens in December usually, and Festival of Lights. Purim usually happens in March and commemorates the saving of the Jewish people from Aman. Passover happens usually in April and marks the liberation from Egypt when Jews left Egypt and went to the Canaan, to the Israel, the Israeli land, the promised land by God. Here in the picture, you also can see some of the Jewish holidays, special foods of Ganiyara being served and traditionally eaten on Hanukkah. Matzah is the only bread of Passover, and hamantashen or znayaman is the food that being served by Purim. We also decided to talk to you a little about Christian holidays in Israel that being celebrated by Christian communities. We assume that you're familiar with those holidays, but we also wanted to mention that they're being celebrated on one hand, but they're not national holidays. So usually those days are not days off, and it's also would be good for you to know. Here in the picture, you see some Christian places here in Israel, in Haifa, in Nazareth, would also like to mention that Christmas here in Israel observed by as Catholics and all over the world on December 24th and 25th, and Orthodox Christians celebrate Christmas on January 6th and 7th, and there are some processions from Jerusalem Old City to the monastery of Mar Elias, and on the church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, where midnight services are held. It's also interesting to mention that Armenians celebrate Christmas on January 19th. Here we added some picture of Christian cities, which is Nazareth and Bethlehem. And also worth to mention that in Israel, there are places for many different churches and denominations. So it can be also interesting for you to learn and to visit in your free time. As you can see, there are also places where celebrated other Jewish holidays as Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. And again, as long as you will be available on those days and would like to also visit special and holy Christian places, you can do it here, and we'll have here some recommendations for you. Here in Jerusalem on Mountain of Olives, and in the Old City, and also the Orthodox Armenian and Catholic communities attend churches, including Holy Sepulchre and Old City, and are also worth for you to know and to visit. We also wanted to talk and to mention you Islamic holidays, because those people and who you might also require to assist at some point, or some of them of you were already assigned to Muslim families. So we wanted to mention this part of the culture and religion as well. Muslims celebrate when the Quran was revealed to Muhammad by fasting from dawn to sunset during Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. And fasting is a purifying experience so that Muslims can gain compassion and deepen their faith in Allah, which means God in Arabic. It's also worth to mention that Islamic calendar based only on lunar calendars. So for that reason, Ramadan and other special days not happen not only on the same days of Gregorian calendar, but can take place sometimes in summer, sometimes in winter, because again the system is only lunar. There are also two official holidays in Islam: Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Both holidays occur on dates in the lunar Islamic calendar, as I said before, and therefore they will be always different in Gregorian calendar. There are other number of other days of note and festivals, some common to all Muslims. Friday is considered the holiest day of the week for Islamic tradition. Is considered a celebration in itself. Friday prayers, which called Juma, are congregational prayers held in mosques, and Muslims are encouraged to wear clean clothes, perfume, and bathe. It's customary to eat special meals with family on these days. Now we would like to talk a little about Israeli cuisine. Most of the food in Israel has to be kosher, and the laws of kosher define the foods that are fit for consumption for a Jew. It should be, some of the basic rules is to separate between milk and fleshy food, meat and dairy food, and there are some also very specific restriction, but we're mentioning specifically the separation between dairy and fleshy food, because some of the families might even have different sets of the dishes for those meals and for this food. It can be sometimes two sinks, and sometimes can be two cabinets. One would be with a set for dairy meals, and other would be with a set of dishes for meat meals. Muslim population eats halal food, and it means that food is permissible and according to Islamic law. Many of locals follow their religion and cook food only by kosher or halal laws. Israeli cuisine also have a mix of local dishes and dishes brought to Israel by Jews from the diaspora, from the places all over the world. The Israeli culinary famous for its fusion cuisine, and famous dishes include falafel, hamin, me'orav Yerushalmi, and other things. Arabic cuisine food is very common in Israel, mostly based on rice, vegetables, and meat. Famous dishes include makluba and buhari rice, stuffed zucchini, and grape leaves with rice are also popular foods in Israel. These were the very basic and very first taste of the Israeli Jewish and Arabic cuisine, and of course you can find online information much more, and to have your small research while you're on quarantine, and see what impression you have and what do you think on this or that cuisine. We also wanted to talk to you about communication culture in Israel, since again it might assist you to know some of those unique qualities and to be more ready and more successful while you're communicating with Israeli person, if it's the person who is providing you care or a family member. You should remember that when you come to Israel, you need to know that the mentality of Israelis is very different from Western and Asian countries. Communication is very straightforward here in Israel, casual, warm, and sometimes even feels loud and aggressive. It is very true to say that Israelis have and say what they have on their mind. They prefer to say directly to your face and have a specific word dugri, which they took from Arabic, but it means that you should talk to me straightforward. The Israeli culture and way of communication is also very casual, and it's truly warm. Also, don't get scared if you hear some loud voices, because again, it can be a part of Israeli culture. And you should remember that things get done very quickly in Israel. A few more things that is worth to mention about communication culture in Israel. In Israel, the common way to communicate is by direct communication. People will refer you by your first name. No, people might approach directly to you with comments and requests, and it's a normal behavior. Sometimes people can just approach you, start to talk to you on the street, in a bus, everywhere. It's just normal behavior here in Israel. It's also a very friendly culture, and sometimes it also can be presented the way people communicate through touches between friends, and it is very acceptable in Israel, while it's not acceptable in many other countries all over the world. Therefore, don't hesitate to set boundaries and say if it's not a pleasant for you or not, you're not used to it, because again, here in Israel, it's very common and acceptable. And if you feel uncomfortable with that, it's better for you to let this or that person know and set your boundaries. Israeli use a lot body language, and they can also use their hands while they're talking. They can move, they can point, they can look straight into your eyes. It's very, very, as I said, very straightforward culture. We want to thank you for your attention, and hope that you enjoyed this session, and we will meet you soon in our next session.